You should have seen him in person. Anakin Skywalker. He was my master.
Kanan said he was the greatest warrior the Jedi had in the Clone Wars.
He was powerful. Rarely lost a battle. But what surprised people was how kind he was. He cared deeply about his friends and looked out for them until the end.
Practice these exercises mindfully, and you'll see improvement. I promise.
Do you know what happened to him?
The last time I saw him, he was rushing off to save the Chancellor. Then everything changed. The war ended, and the Jedi were accused of treason. One by one, they were hunted down.
By the Inquisitors.
Or worse.
Speaking of Inquisitors...
Protege to the most powerful Jedi Knight, Anakin Skywalker. Ahsoka Tano grew up during a time of great galactic upheaval. She would be flung into the front lines of conflict at an early age and be the student of an undeniably gifted but challenging master. Ahsoka would be exposed to the greatest and the worst the galaxy had to offer. Her story, however, is cut short, as she had been lost to time, and her ultimate fate would remain unknown.
You are listening to the Star Lores Podcast. I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Are you stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf herder?
But I was going into Tashi Station to pick up some power converters.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Early years.
Ahsoka Tano, a spirited young Togruta from the planet Shili, was discovered at the tender age of 3 by Jedi Master Plo Koon during one of his missions. Sensing her natural connection to the Force, Koon ensured she was brought to the Jedi Temple, where she would be raised within the Order. From that moment, Ahsoka's path was set. As she grew, Ahsoka developed a deep bond with Master Koon, considering him one of the closest and most cherished friends. By 22 BBY, her gratitude toward him was boundless. She was assigned to the Clawmouse clan, where she trained alongside fellow Jedi initiates, forming friendships and learning the ways of the Force. Under the guidance of Grandmaster Yoda himself, Ahsoka was trained in the intricate art of sand levitation, an early lesson in her journey to becoming a Jedi.
A new apprentice.
My apologies, young one. It's time for a proper introduction.
I'm the new Padawan learner. I'm Ahsoka Tano.
I am Obi-Wan Kenobi, your new master.
I'm at your service, Master Kenobi, but I'm afraid I've actually been assigned to Master Skywalker.
What? No. There must be some mistake. He's the one who wanted the Padawan.
No, Master Yoda was very specific. I'm assigned to Anakin Skywalker, and he is to supervise my Jedi training.
Ahsoka was a talented young Jedi, promoted early to the rank of Padawan by Master Yoda. She was unexpectedly assigned to Jedi Knight, Anakin Skywalker, not Obi-Wan Kenobi as originally thought. The Jedi Council hoped that through mentoring Ahsoka, Skywalker would learn to temper his attachment issues. Their first mission together occurred on Christophsis, where Separatist forces had activated a deflector shield, stalling the Republic's attack. Anakin and Ahsoka, now a team, managed to sneak past droids, set charges, and destroy the shield generator, allowing Republic forces to finish the battle. Despite Skywalker's initial hesitation about having a Padawan, they quickly found common ground. Shortly after, they were dispatched on a critical mission to rescue Jabba the Hutt's son, Rhoda, who had been kidnapped. Their journey led them to the planet Teth, where they scaled a cliff to a monastery, fought off battle droids, and found the infant Hutt. Ahsoka affectionately nicknamed the baby Stinky. As they prepared to leave, they were ambushed by Asajj Ventress, a servant of Count Dooku, who framed the Jedi for Rhoda's kidnapping. After a fierce battle, Ahsoka and Anakin managed to escape with Rhoda, racing to Tatooine to deliver him safely to Jabba. Along the way, Ahsoka had her own showdown with Ventress, and later fought off Magna Guards single-handedly. In a final confrontation at Jabba's palace, Ahsoka arrived just in time to prove the Jedi's innocence, saving both her master and herself from execution. With Rhoda safely returned, Jabba granted the Republic access to vital trade routes, and Ahsoka's partnership with Anakin solidified as they were hailed as heroes. Growing pains.
If not ready for a Padawan, you are. Then perhaps, Obi-Wan, we can...
No, wait a minute. I admit Ahsoka is a little rough around the edges, but with a great deal of training and patience, she might amount to something.
Then go with you, she will.
As the Republic struggled against the Separatists' superior fleet numbers, Jedi Master Mace Windu briefed the Jedi Council on a plan to strike at the heart of Separatist shipyards in the Gwari system. With Republic forces too scattered for a full assault, Master Kenobi suggested a surgical strike. The challenge? A deadly bioscan irradiator that would incinerate any organics passing through it. Anakin Skywalker devised a risky plan, freezing the strike team in carbonite to avoid detection. Despite being ordered to sit out, Ahsoka manipulated Admiral Yurlin into letting her join the mission. Once the team, now frozen, reached the planet, they were attacked by Separatist forces. R2-D2 ejected the carbonite slabs just before their ship was destroyed, saving the team. After thawing out the strike team, Ahsoka faced her disappointed master, but they pressed on, infiltrating the Separatist shipyards. With communications jammed, Ahsoka spotted a nearby tower and led the team to it, allowing them to contact Republic forces for a bombing run at dawn. However, their transmission was detected, and the Separatist overseer Jum retaliated. Splitting up, Ahsoka's group fought off super battle droids and a dangerous reptilian creature, while Kenobi and Skywalker discovered the Separatists were using slaves. Captured but not defeated, Skywalker and Tano agreed to trust each other despite her disobedience in joining the mission, leading to their eventual escape. A slave revolt broke out, and as Republic bombers obliterated half the shipyards, the strike team and freed slaves narrowly avoided friendly fire. Once safe, the slaves were granted Republic citizenship and volunteered to help build warships for the Republic, turning the tide of the battle. Ahsoka's disobedience would be a continuing trend throughout her apprenticeship, as her brash and headstrong nature was not unlike that of her master Anakin. One of the major reasons why Master Yoda had selected her to be his apprentice, as she would teach him as much as he would teach her.
The Clone Wars continue. The Republic sent Jedi Masters Yoda, Kenobi, Skywalker, and Tano to Kothlas to negotiate with the Bothans. After a skirmish with a separatist fleet, Ahsoka suspected the Bothans' first secretary, Desark Phala, of betraying them. Offended, Phala declared Bothan neutrality. On Taloran, the Jedi sought Tibana gas for the Republic, but were betrayed by the Magister, Orlan Danash, who had secretly allied with Count Dooku. Ahsoka recruited the Wind Raiders, while a loyal emissary helped free the Jedi. Republic reinforcements arrived, defeating the Separatists and securing the Tibana shipment after Danash's suicide. Tano, Skywalker, and Kenobi also liberated the planet Queel from Separatist control, and later intercepted a Separatist spy in the Mon Gaza system. Ahsoka uncovered a plot involving pod racer Kid Kareen, who ultimately saved her during a race, despite his involvement with the enemy. Tanos participated in the mission to neutralize the Malevolence, a Separatist superweapon, where Skywalker crippled its ion cannons, and they later caused the weapon to crash into a moon. Tano also joined Skywalker in the defense of Bothawi, helping him recover R2-D2 after a Separatist attack. These missions showcase the constant maneuvering, battles, and betrayals that define the Jedi's struggles against the Separatists, with Ahsoka continually proving herself as a valuable but often impetuous asset to the Republic cause. Growing and learning.
Ahsoka's skills and leadership develop significantly during several critical missions. At Skytop Station, she leads a clone force to plant explosives, facing General Grievous in battle. Despite her inexperience, she injures Grievous and escapes, successfully destroying the station. During the assault on Tranquility, Ahsoka guards Nute Gunray alongside Jedi Master Luminara Unduli. She confronts Asajj Ventress, helping Unduli during their duel and preventing her from being killed, learning key lessons in patience and control. Ahsoka further proves her leadership by commanding the Resolute in an attempt to trap Count Dooku. She also leads a mission to rescue Anakin and Obi-Wan on Vanquor, and negotiates with pirates, showcasing her growing confidence. In the Sky Battle of Quell, Ahsoka participates in rescuing Jedi Knight Aayla Secura. When Anakin is injured, Ahsoka takes command and navigates complex moral decisions while interacting with the pacifist Lurman tribe, deepening her understanding of the Jedi Code and navigating the complexities of philosophy. Ahsoka aids in defending the Lumen against separatist forces, helping to orchestrate the destruction of a weapon known as the Defoliator. Through her interactions with Captain Rex, Aayla Secura, and the Lurman leader T-Wat Ka, Ahsoka grapples with the moral complexity of war and the courage required to stand by one's beliefs, even when they conflict with traditional ideas of bravery and combat, as the Lurmians were pacifists. These missions illustrate Ahsoka's growth as a Padawan, both in terms of combat skills and her deepening understanding of Jedi philosophy, highlighting her evolving role in the Clone Wars.
The burden of leadership.
We lost so many.
There's always a price to be paid.
It was my fault.
That doesn't mean we don't make mistakes.
But our mistakes cost lives. That doesn't bother you?
Of course it does.
This isn't what I trained for.
Look, when Obi-Wan taught me, we were keepers of the peace. But now, to win this war, I have to teach you to be a soldier.
Is that all I'll have to teach my own Padawan one day?
You know, teaching's not all it's cracked up to be.
Really? What makes you say that?
I'm joking.
You're joking. How can you joke at a time like this?
What would you prefer? You want me to be more serious?
I'd prefer it.
Listen, I'm teaching you how to lead. How to survive.
What if I want to stop fighting?
Then you'll die.
During a mission on Naboo, Ahsoka Tano played a pivotal role in stopping the Separatist plot to release the deadly Blue Shadow virus. After Senator Amidala and Jar Jar Binks went missing, Ahsoka, alongside Gungan Peppy Bao, infiltrated the lab and helped free them. Though Dr. Nuvo Vindi was captured, a droid unleashed the virus within the lab. Ahsoka and her clone companions were infected, but Skywalker and Kenobi returned just in time with an antidote, saving them all. Shortly after, Ahsoka faced a command challenge during the Battle of Ryloth, leading Blue Squadron in an attempt to break the Separatist blockade. Inexperienced and overconfident, she disobeyed orders, resulting in the loss of half her squadron and the injury of Admiral Uralin. Shaken by the experience, Ahsoka doubted herself. However, when Skywalker took a solo mission, Ahsoka was forced to step up once more. She devised a successful strategy to protect Republic ships, and with Skywalker's sacrifice, led the Republic to victory, freeing Ryloth. This victory came at a personal cost, as Ahsoka learned the difficult realities of leadership and war. Her journey from a confident Padawan to a tested leader was marked by her experience on Naboo and Ryloth, where she learned the responsibilities of command, the pain of failure, and the importance of teamwork, proving her growth as a Jedi. As Ahsoka continued to learn from her master, she also became close with the clone troopers under her command. Leading soldiers at only 14 years old, she learned the burden of command early and built strong relationships with the clones that served under her, including Captain Rex, with whom she formed a strong bond early on in the conflict. Struggles and resilience.
Ahsoka faced numerous challenges during the Clone Wars, including dangerous confrontations with bounty hunters and difficult battles. During a mission, she was taken hostage by Cad Bane, who outsmarted the Jedi briefly. Though Anakin Skywalker rescued her, Bane escaped, deepening Ahsoka's resolve and understanding of war's pressures. In a later mission, she trapped Bane while protecting a young Gungan, but the bounty hunter escaped again, reinforcing her vigilance. On Felucia, Ahsoka's leadership shone as she teamed up with bounty hunters to protect a village from pirates, inspiring Sarapas, a bounty hunter, hiding his vulnerability in armor. In another mission, Ahsoka compassionately saved her friend Barriss Offee, who was controlled by brainworms, by finding a non-lethal solution. Later, she helped track down Boba Fett and Aurra Sing after their assassination attempt on Mace Windu, freeing hostages and capturing criminals. Through these experiences, Ahsoka's skills as a warrior and leader grew, as did her wisdom, compassion, and dedication to her allies, making her a formidable figure.
Assassins and intrigue. After her mission on Mandalore, Ahsoka was haunted by visions of Aurra Sing attempting an assassination. Seeking guidance from Master Yoda, she realized Senator Padme Amidala was likely the target. Despite warnings, Amidala traveled to Alderaan for a speech, with Tano accompanying her for protection. During the event, Sing attacked, but Tano's instincts saved Amidala, though she was wounded. Amidala refused to cancel her next appearance, prompting a plan using a decoy droid. Sing attempted another strike, but with Amidala's quick thinking and Tano's intervention, Sing was arrested. Back on Coruscant, Tano uncovered that Zero the Hutt had hired Singh, leading to his re-imprisonment. Meanwhile, Ahsoka struggled with the complexities of politics, gaining insight through an assignment with Amidala, who was quietly pursuing peace efforts. This led Tano to meet Lux Bonteri, a separatist idealist, whose views challenged her understanding of the war. Despite their efforts for peace, a separatist attack on Coruscant ended their mission. This period marked Ahsoka's growing intuition with the Force, but also exposed her to the political complexities and moral ambiguity of war, deepening her awareness of the galaxy's looming betrayal. Mortis.
Your master, does he treat you well? What concern of it is yours? I am your future, your potential. This is a trick. There is a wildness to you, young one. Seeds of the dark side planted by your master. Do you feel it? No! He is like no other Jedi. Passionate, impulsive, but I trust him with my life. There are many contradictions in you, and in him.
Tano, alongside Skywalker and Kenobi, embarked on a mysterious mission to Mortis after receiving an ancient Jedi distress signal. On this mystical planet, deeply tied to the Force, they encountered the father, the daughter, the representation of the light side, and the son, the representation of the dark side, powerful embodiments of the Force. Anakin sought answers about his identity as the Chosen One, while Ahsoka faced a vision of her future self, warning her that remaining with Anakin could lead to darkness and her death. Conflicted but loyal, Ahsoka chose to stay by his side. Her loyalty was tested when the Son captured and corrupted her with the dark side, transforming her into an aggressive version of herself. Filled with resentment toward Anakin, Ahsoka blamed him for his constant criticism and attacked him. Anakin, refusing to harm her, fought to bring her back. The daughter sacrificed herself to purge the dark side from Ahsoka, restoring her to normal. As she recovered, Anakin was briefly tempted by the son to join the dark side, but the father's intervention returned him to the light. In the final battle, Anakin struck down the son after the father sacrificed himself to prevent the son from gaining ultimate power, restoring balance to Mortis. The planet collapsed, and Ahsoka, Anakin, and Obi-Wan awoke in their shuttle, realizing only moments had passed in real time. Forever changed by the revelations of Mortis, they returned to their mission, marked by the deep insights into their destinies.
Mounting casualties. Ahsoka's rescue mission of Jedi Master Evan Peel showcased her defiance, leadership, and growth. Initially sidelined by Anakin Skywalker due to the mission's dangerous, she smuggled herself onto the team, earning Skywalker's reluctant acceptance. Her small size and skills were vital in infiltrating the Citadel on Lola Sayu, where she disabled defenses and helped rescue Peel and Captain Tarkin. Despite clashing with Tarkin's condescending attitude, Ahsoka led her group through dangerous tunnels, earning his respect as her leadership shone. When Peel was mortally wounded, she entrusted Ahsoka with critical Nexus route coordinates, instructing her to share them only with the Jedi Council. Carrying Peel's body, she became a key figure in the mission's success. Ahsoka later saved Tarkin's life by killing the Citadel's warden, Ossie Sobek, solidifying her role as a capable leader. After their escape and return to Coruscant, a clash arose between Tarkin who wanted to give his information to Chancellor Palpatine, and Ahsoka, who remained steadfast in following Peel's last order, reflecting the growing tension between the Jedi and the Republic's political leadership. The mission not only solidified Ahsoka's leadership skills, but also deepened her bond with Skywalker, who, despite suspecting her initial deception, was proud of her accomplishments. The successful rescue of Peel and the Nexus route information underscored Ahsoka's growing maturity and importance in the ongoing war. Kashyyyk.
During the Second Battle of Felucia, Ahsoka fought alongside Anakin and Jedi Master Plo Koon against Separatist forces. In the heat of battle, she was ambushed and kidnapped by a Trandoshan hunter. Awakening aboard the transport, she learned that she and other captives were being taken to the moon of Waska to be hunted for sport. On Waska's Island 4, Ahsoka met there 3 younglings, Khalifa, Jinx, and Omer, who had been prisoners for years and had become survivalists, focusing only on their own safety. Ahsoka, unwilling to cower in fear, inspired the younglings to fight back against their captors. They ambushed a Trandoshan hunter, but Khalifa's anger almost drove her to the dark side. Ahsoka persuaded her to stop, but sparing the hunter led to their escape being compromised. Despite this, Khalifa regained hope and trusted Ahsoka's leadership, but during a battle with the Trandoshan leader's son, Khalifa was fatally wounded. Before she died, she asked Ahsoka to save the others. Determined, Ahsoka led Jinx and Omer in a plan to capture a Trandoshan cruiser. Though their escape failed, they found an unexpected ally in Chewbacca, a Wookiee prisoner. Together, they built a transmitter to call for help, but their first attempt failed, forcing Ahsoka to accompany the impatient younglings in a risky raid on the hunter's base. They were nearly overpowered, but help arrived in the form of Wookiee warriors and bounty hunters led by General Tarful. In the final battle, Ahsoka killed the Trandoshan leader, Garnak. Afterward, Ahsoka kept her promise to Khalifa, bringing Jinx and Omer back to the Jedi Temple. Anakin, relieved and guilty, welcomed her back. Ahsoka, now more appreciative of her master's unorthodox methods, understood how his training had prepared her to survive for such an ordeal. They shared a moment of mutual respect, their bond deepening even further.
War never ending.
In this war, you will face more than just droids. General Grievous, Asajj Ventress, even Count Dooku. You could face any one of them on the battlefield. As your master, it's my responsibility to prepare you. So practice these forms often, or at least more than I do. I won't always be there and look out for you. If we get separated or something happens, you need to be able to make it on your own. Don't be afraid. Just remember what I taught you and trust your instincts. I know you can do this, Ahsoka.
During the Clone Wars, the planet Dak, also known as Mon Cala, was torn by civil war between the Mon Calamari, loyal to the Galactic Republic, and the Quarren, who sided with the Confederacy of Independent Systems. Republic diplomats Padme Amidala and Anakin Skywalker tried to prevent violence, but the Separatist leader, Riff Tamson, manipulated the situation, led the Quarren in a surprise attack on the Mon Calamari. The Republic sent Jedi General Kit Fisto and Ahsoka Tano, along with the clone Scuba Troopers, but Tamson, a skilled aquatic commander, proved formidable. After the Mon Calamari were defeated and enslaved, Tano evaded capture and joined Prince Li Char, the Mon Calamari's deposed leader, in a plan to rally his people. They infiltrated a prison camp and convince the Mon Calamari forces, including Captain Gail Akbar, to prepare for rebellion. When Tamsin ordered Lee Char's public execution to demoralize the Mon Calamari, Quarren leader Nasor Ree had a change of heart and led his people in an uprising. Tano, with her lightsaber, returned, freed her fellow Jedi, and together they defeated Tamsin. Lee Char was restored as the 83rd king of Mon Cala. Throughout the war, Ahsoka fought in numerous battles, such as on Umbara, where she and Barriss Offee broke through enemy blockades, and on Kuros, where she helped defuse bombs and rescue her fellow Togruta colonists. Disguised as a slave on Zagiria, Tano played a key role in rescuing slaves and battling the oppressive regime. At the Battle of Kadavo, she helped free enslaved Togrutas and aided her safe return to Coruscant, strengthening their ties with the Republic. From Dak to Kadavo, Tano's journey was marked by resilience and leadership, constantly rising to the challenge of protecting the vulnerable fighting for justice in the galaxy. Mandalore.
Padawan Tano accompanied Senator Padme Amidala, Bail Organa, and Mon Mothma to a peace conference on Mandalore between the Republic and the Separatists. During the meeting, Lux Bonteri interrupted and accused Count Dooku of murdering his mother. When his claim was rebuffed and he was in danger from a vengeful regime, Ahsoka secretly followed him onto a Separatist ship and rescued him from being executed by droids. After escaping, Lux revealed his plan to join an independent group to kill Dooku in revenge. Although Ahsoka tried to bring him to Coruscant, Lux stunned her and took her to Karlak. On Karlak, Lux had allied with the Death Watch, a Mandalorian splinter group led by Pre Vizsla. Ahsoka, hiding her identity as a Jedi, posed as Lux's fiancée. She quickly realized the brutality of the Death Watch when they attacked a nearby village, slaughtering innocents. She intervened, but without her lightsabers, as she was captured by Vizsla and nearly executed. With the help of R2-D2 and the reprogrammed droids he repaired, Ahsoka escaped, fought off Vizsla and his warriors, and fled with Lux and R2. As they escaped Karlak, Lux chose not to join the Republic, leaving Ahsoka to reflect on their parting and the complexities of the conflict. Later, Ahsoka was involved in the conspiracy surrounding the supposed assassination of Obi-Wan Kenobi, who had faked his death to stop a plot to kidnap Chancellor Palpatine. She and Anakin pursued the bounty hunters involved, eventually discovering Kenobi's ruse. Ahsoka continued to support Anakin despite his frustrations, as they protected the Chancellor during the Festival of Light on Naboo. When the kidnapping attempt was thwarted, Ahsoka helped secure the Chancellor and was recognized for her role in the mission. Through these events, Ahsoka continued to grapple with the moral complexities of the war, torn between her loyalty to her friends and the broader conflicts that threaten the galaxy.
Crime and punishment. After stopping on the planet Stobar, Ahsoka Tano and Anakin Skywalker encountered a dark disturbance in the Force, something Skywalker found familiar. They soon left for the Battle of Onderon, where Ahsoka trained rebels alongside Anakin and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Tensions arose as Ahsoka and Stila Guerrera vied for Lux Bonteri's affections. During the conflict, Ahsoka broke orders, revealing herself as a Jedi, and in the final battle, she was unable to save Stila, who fell to her death. With Onderon liberated, they returned to Coruscant. Later, Ahsoka escorted younglings to Ilum to build their lightsabers, but was attacked by Hondo Ohnaka's pirates. After protecting the younglings and being captured herself, they eventually escaped, forming a temporary alliance with Ohnaka to fend off General Grievous. Together they outwitted the droids and fled the planet, where Ahsoka reunited with Kenobi and Skywalker. Following this, Ahsoka and Anakin fought to retake Cato Neimoidia. After a bombing at the Jedi Temple hangar, they were called back to investigate. The perpetrator, Letta Tormund, revealed a Jedi had guided her. Before she could reveal the name, she was mysteriously killed, framing Ahsoka for the crime. As she led, Ahsoka sought help from Asajj Ventress, now a bounty hunter, after abandoning the Separatists, and the two formed an uneasy alliance. Their search led them to a warehouse connected to the bombing. However, Tano was ambushed and framed by an unknown attacker. The Jedi Council and clone troopers captured her, convinced of her guilt due to incriminating evidence. As the mystery deepened, Ahsoka found herself increasingly isolated, facing the consequences of the trap set against her.
The Senate requests that Ahsoka Tano be indicted for acts of treason against the Republic.
A fair trial, Padawan Tano will have, in accordance with Jedi tradition.
Ah yes, Jedi tradition. I'm afraid, Master Yoda, that the Senate believes that an internal Jedi trial would seem biased. Therefore, the Senate asks that the Council expel Ahsoka Tano from the Jedi Order, so that she may be put to a Republic military tribunal, where she will receive more impartial judgment.
And who would represent Ahsoka in this tribunal, Admiral?
That would be up to the Council, General, but I would recommend someone outside the Order.
Of course.
The Council will act as they deem necessary. Thank you, Admiral.
Surely we cannot do what Tarkin suggests. We need to stand together with Ahsoka.
And yet there's evidence that she is indeed the mastermind behind the attack on the temple.
She was found in possession of nano-droid explosives. This alone is enough to convict her.
I understand your sentiment, Obi-Wan. But if the Council does as you suggest, it could be seen as an act of opposition to the Senate. I am afraid we have little choice.
To the Chamber of Judgment, summon Skywalker and his Padawan. And in our decision, may the Force guide us.
After being framed for the Jedi Temple bombing, Ahsoka Tano was expelled from the Jedi Order under pressure from Tarkin and the Senate, so she could stand trial before a military tribunal. Padme Amidala defended her, while Tarkin led the prosecution. Just as the verdict was about to be delivered, Anakin Skywalker uncovered the true culprit, the Jedi apprentice, Barriss Offee, Ahsoka's friend, who had orchestrated the plot against her.
Padawan Tano, serious charges have been levied against you. How plead you?
Not guilty, Master. I would never take the lives of innocents. The values of the Jedi are sacred to me.
There is evidence to the contrary. You were alone with Letta Tormund when she died. Can you explain this?
Someone used the Force against her.
Which brings us to Ventress. Can you explain your association with her?
We had a mutual understanding. I thought she was helping me.
Did she help you acquire the nanodroid weaponry found when you were apprehended? The same devices used in the bombing of the temple?
No. I was set up and deceived, as you are being deceived now.
The question is, Padawan Tano, who is deceiving us? Ventress, you, or someone else?
I am not deceiving you. I would assume Ventress is, but I can't be sure. My sense is clouded.
Clouded by the dark side. These things are, Padawan Tano. Dangerously clouded. But not just surrounding you. surrounding many things in these times.
You've already made your decision, haven't you? This meeting is just a formality!
Reached a decision. We have. Though not in total agreement, are we?
It is the Council's opinion that Padawan Ahsoka Tano has committed sedition against the Republic, and thus she will be expelled from the Jedi Order.
You can't do this!
Your Padawan status will be stripped from you, and you shall forfeit all rank and privileges within the Grand Army of the Republic. You will be turned over to the Republic courts to await your trial, and whatever punishment they will set for you. Henceforth, you are barred from the Jedi Order.
Though the Jedi Council offered to reinstate her, Ahsoka felt deeply betrayed. Unable to trust the Council or herself, she declined and walked away from the Order. Skywalker tried to persuade her to stay, but Ahsoka insisted that she needed to find her own path, leaving the temple and beginning a new chapter in her life. Her departure left a lasting impact on those around her. Yoda, during his quest to uncover the secrets of immortality, had a vision of Ahsoka's tragic fate, reflecting his guilt over her exile. Even Obi-Wan Kenobi, while evading the Great Jedi Purge, reflected on the toll their actions had taken, thinking of Ahsoka and the costs of their choices as Jedi. The Lost Apprentice.
Ahsoka Tano's journey as a Jedi was marked by both her fierce combat prowess and her inner struggle with aggression. Despite her training to embody the light side, she often exhibited traits similar to her master, Anakin, such as determination, impetuousness, and arrogance in battle. She would belittle enemies, using mockery to diminish them, calling Magna Guards stick tinnies and Asajj Ventress a hairless harpy. Her overconfidence sometimes led to dangerous recklessness, as seen when she ignored orders during the Battle of Ryloth, resulting in the deaths of her clone squadron. Her aggressive tactics even concerned Jedi Master Luminara Unduli, who believed her methods strayed from the Jedi way. Though her headstrong nature could lead to costly mistakes, Ahsoka showed great self-awareness, often apologizing and admitting her failures. Her loyalty and willingness to sacrifice herself for others was evident in her rescue efforts and her decisions to blow up a droid factory with Bear Sophie, even though they were still inside. She cared deeply for those under her command, and despite her missteps, her compassion for others, particularly children and her clones, remained steadfast. Ahsoka's bond with Anakin was central to her development, from her informal nickname Sky Guy for him, to her acceptance of his training style, which emphasized action over caution. This shaped her into a formidable fighter, skilled in various lightsaber forms, including Ataru, Xian, and Jarakai. Her skill grew as the Clone Wars intensified, and she wielded a dual-blade fighting style to face deadly foes like General Grievous and Ventress. After being falsely accused and put on trial, Ahsoka's trust in the Jedi Council was shattered. When offered the chance to return, she chose to leave the Order instead. Her departure marked a pivotal moment in her life. As she walked away from everything she had known, her bond with her master forever changed.
Anakin, dwelling on Ahsoka's decision won't bring her back.
I miss her, okay? Is that what you wanted me to say? I still can't understand how she could have left the Order.
It was a surprise decision to all of us.
It was wrong. She's a Jedi. She belongs with us. She's one of us.
She made the decision, Anakin.
Well, what choice did we give her? The moment there were any suspicions about her loyalty, the Council turned their back on her.
I will grant you mistakes were made, but she chose to leave. Part of the Jedi way is not letting emotion cloud your better judgment. And that's precisely what Ahsoka did, even in her most critical moment.
Despite her departure, Ahsoka remained a skilled warrior with a strong connection to the Force, capable of extraordinary feats like telekinesis, force pushes, and even duplicating herself in combat. Her talents extended beyond battle, including mechanical skills and her innate Togrutan echolocation abilities. Throughout her journey, she constantly evolved, becoming a survivor of war, a protector of the innocent, and a powerful Force user shaped by her own decisions and experiences. Not much is known about the wayward apprentice after leaving the temple. Her talents and abilities, along with her intimate knowledge of the Jedi Anakin Skywalker, would have made her a prime target for the Empire. However, those very same skills and knowledge would have made her a force to be reckoned with, capable of evasion and possibly assistance to a rebellion to come.
Ahsoka.
Anakin. I won't leave you. Not this time.
Then you will die.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Have you been falsely accused? Is a big government trying to ruin your life with trumped-up charges? Call Chiss & Associates for legal advice. Don't let them get away with violating your rights. Call now. Welcome aboard the Millennial Falcon. This is Christian.
And this is Jordan.
And we are once again revisiting the ruins of the Jedi Temple. We'll come back here a few times.
Too often. I'm getting a little depressed here.
Yeah. This episode has been a long time coming. I've been wanting to write it for a long time. I have a lot to say about Miss Ahsoka Tano. But before we get into that, Jordan.
I just want to, as usual, as every episode we do, thank all of our supporting listeners. Thank you, you guys. You keep this bucket of bolts flying. And if you wanted to become a supporting listener, you can sign up at patreon.com/StarLords for $3 USD a month. And you'll get access to all the bonus episodes. If you join the $5 tier, you get access to bonus episodes as well as ad-free listening. We also do single episode buys on Patreon as well. If you wanted to send single donations and you don't want to subscribe for a monthly thing, you can always send us a few credits at starlordspodcast@gmail.com. And we also have a little bit of merch on redbubble.com. Go check out the link in the description of the show. And
help support the fictional companies that support us.
Yes. Indeed. Also, big thing that just helps us, if you don't want to support us monetarily, totally fine, I get it. But if you would, so please rate and review the show wherever you listen to podcasts. That definitely helps us in our discoverability on all the podcasts platforms. So that would be great if you guys could do that, rating and reviews. Also follow us on social media. That also helps us as well. If you follow us, engage with any of our content, so like Instagram, x.com, Facebook, Discord as well. We do have a Discord link in the description. But yeah, just search Starlords on Instagram at Starlords Podcast. X.com is the Starlords, and Facebook is just facebook.com/Starlords Podcast. And also email us. And one quick thing I wanted to mention is we are getting a lot of comments. So Spotify has enabled comments on episodes. However, we have since changed our hosting platform, so we're no longer hosted by Spotify, and I have no ability
to check comments.
Well, to reply comments or even approve them. So I guess they were set on approve first before they could be posted. So we're getting a lot of comments, but I like have absolutely no ability to address them. So sorry, guys. At least not now. I might be able to figure something out later. But if you want to comment on a show, and there've been a few good ones that I even have wanted to like bring up on the show, questions and stuff like that. But I'll lose it as soon as I get the notification. I click it. I click the notification and it says, "Oh, you can't access this." Blah blah blah. So I lose the comment. So if you have a comment or question or thing you want to bring up on the show, please email us or send us a direct message on social medias. Yeah. That is a much better way because we're just probably not going to be able to see it.
And we love your comments. But
yeah.
We definitely send them.
Yeah, we want them. We want them to keep coming, but on commenting on the episode on Spotify if you're a Spotify listener, which the majority of our listeners do listen on Spotify. It's much better if you
reach out directly.
Yeah, reach out directly. And remember, all those links are in the show description, and you can go to our link tree and reach out to us there. Also, send us your pictures of your Star Wars collection, any of your fan fiction, headcanon, in-universe ads. We love our in-universe ads. And any corrections or comments on any of the episodes. We love to hear that as well. I think that's it. Christian, back to you.
Awesome. All right. Ahsoka Tano, super divisive figure. Well, actually, before we get into her too much, let's address the bantha in the room. As current Disney followers might have caught on, we've cut Ahsoka's story short. In Legends, the final canon... Oh, this is going to get confusing. Okay, sorry. In Legends, Ahsoka's story ends with the Clone Wars series of her leaving the Jedi Temple. Of course, she does come back after the Disney acquisition, and they rebooted the Clone Wars franchise. Reboot is maybe too strong a word. When they reapproved the Clone Wars to come back, they brought Ahsoka back, and she also appeared in the Star Wars Rebels TV show farther into the future during the Age of the Rebellion. Obviously, she features in the Mandalorian television show, and
now her own show.
So, of course, we can't touch on those story beats. We will in this discussion portion. They're just not in the scripted portion, because as far as the Legends universe is concerned, her story ends with her walking away from the Jedi Temple. Now, this goes back to a discussion we've had a long time ago about headcanon and there being like wiggle room for characters and story arcs that maybe you can incorporate from the Disney canon back retroactively into Legends. And that's why I keep it in this area, kind of the discussion portion, because I do think a lot of the elements of her return are cool and are worth salvaging from the Disney nightmare. So I personally headcanon that a lot of those events of her return did happen.
Okay.
Your mileage may vary. Definitely, I'm not a big fan of some missteps, and some stuff couldn't work in the Legends canon, obviously. But yeah, it's one of those things that like I think there's some cool elements that kind of get lost in that transition. Before we
and even like anytime we discuss Clone Wars stuff, it's always tricky what is like considered expanded universe, old expanded universe.
Yeah, and because it's one of the few shows that kind of bridges that gap.
Yeah, it's one of the few shows that is like
exists in both at the same time.
And a lot of other shows are spin-offs of it, and stories are spin-offs of it. But yeah, it can be. I was watching a YouTuber, I think it was Sheev Talks.
Yeah, I watch him too.
Yeah.
Shout out to Sheev Talks. If you ever listen to this, we'd like to talk to you.
Yeah, for sure. And I think he was like discussing how he almost considers Clone Wars to be Disney canon. Like he doesn't consider it, in his head canon, he doesn't consider it expanded universe. So, which is interesting. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys think it's, let us know.
Where does it fit in your mental gymnastics?
Exactly. But for the purposes of our discussion here today, we are considering it part of, as you said, up till that last episode prior to the Disney acquisition. That is.
I'm trying to be honest to the work.
Yeah.
At least again in the scripted portion. In this portion, we can talk about whatever we want.
Yeah.
But yeah, her story kind of ends there. That being said, the Clone Wars was like George Lucas was heavily involved in the beginning of the Clone Wars series, and even some holdover episodes that were written prior to the Disney acquisition were finally made post acquisition. So that's why it just gets so murky, right? Like,
yeah,
it's a Lucas touched work, even if you don't like it, even if and it definitely has its flaws. We will discuss it when we go back and review all those Clone Wars episodes, which will come eventually here. And we'll do a piece by piece breakdown. But it does come from like George Lucas, right? The Clone Wars movie, the animated movie, that was released to theaters was a push by Lucas. Again, the other thing too is the series finale with the Siege of Mandalore. Ahsoka, like it literally happens hand in hand with Episode 3. Now, how much of that was written pre-post Disney acquisition, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But it's so entwined with Revenge of the Sith that it's very like you could obviously Revenge of the Sith existed before it, so you can completely ignore it.
Yeah.
But I do think it's very cool. It was very well received. I quite like it. The whole Siege of Mandalore arc and Darth Maul and Ahsoka.
Yeah.
I think it's stuff like that that's worth salvaging, personally. But let's start again. Let's start from the beginning here. Ahsoka Tano. We're introduced to her as a character in that Clone Wars movie that I just mentioned, which had very meddling reviews. It was not very well received.
No.
She as a character was not well received. I was one of the people that did not receive her.
Yeah, I definitely. Yes, especially the first season of Clone Wars and the movie. She's, I don't know, kind of annoying, yeah, is the word that comes to mind.
Yeah, and obviously she was. So credit when it's due to Mr. Dave Filoni and the Clone Wars team and even George Lucas. She's got an incredible arc as a character where I've gone from borderline hating her, thinking like this movie never should have been made, they never should have included her, to having an admiration and respect for her. Like, wow, she goes through an arc where she matures and grows over time, and her like young nature and annoyingness is like it's natural. It's kind of like she really was like a 14, 12-year-old girl getting thrown into this, acting like a 12-year-old girl, right? That's kind of the point. And she does grow, she does mature over these episodes, and as you follow the story arcs season over season, she's learning lessons, and I do believe she's actually a valuable character foil to Anakin Skywalker. I do like her as an inclusion, and that's the incredible thing about how the character is written, whether it was always been the plan or it just kind of they course corrected halfway through after they realized how disliked she was as a character. They wrote her to be more mature later on.
Yeah,
I can't speak on that. But she does grow, she does mature, and then you grow to like and appreciate her. Now, the funny thing is, she's almost gone in the other direction, so it's truly an arc where we arrive back to, if you include the Disney stuff and, Dave Filoni kind of inserting his characters everywhere, and then her TV show, which was atrocious. There even so, there are some cool elements in it, but it goes back to being like, why she's over now. She's almost too. What's the word I'm looking for?
Like she's very stoic.
Yeah, well, there's nothing wrong with her being stoic. It's just she's just being rammed down your throat all the time. She appears everywhere. She's involved in everything. Right?
Yeah.
She's in the Mandalorian, right? And
yeah. But even in the Mandalorian, like her character does almost seem opposite. And maybe you're right. It's just like her character. This is obviously like, what is it, 30 years after the events.
Yeah, she's grown. She's matured.
But she does seem like a very different person from the initial Clone Wars first season.
To me, it's less her character's portrayal, and more so the fact that she's just being ramrodded into every opportunity for like the member berries and the Filoni obsession with his own subset of characters, you know?
So and that's another thing I want to get to about Ahsoka and Filoni, but we'll get there.
Okay. Good. Yeah. I want to get everything out on about Ahsoka, because I've been, like I said, I've been waiting to write this episode for a long time, because I wanted to say those things, is that she was one of those characters that like hated her, never should have been included, to like, wow, she's actually really cool and I like her. And well, the first big shock, actually, again, rewinding a little bit, it's pretty gutsy to involve a character so intimately with one of the main characters like Anakin after you release episode 3.
Yeah.
And it is a little awkward. We can't get around that, where like she's completely absent and not mentioned.
Yeah, that's right? a big complaint of mine, but
yeah. When you retroactively insert characters, but it's done well enough that I can, you know, put that to the back burner and still appreciate it. But that is also a big, you know, obvious difficulty with it. You know, I don't like that they kind of sidelined a lot of the previous Clone Wars material, like a lot of the comics and the Gennady Tartakovsky TV series.
Yeah.
They kind of pushed to the side in favor of this new interpretation of the Clone Wars. Not a big fan of that attitude, which again is a very Filoni thing of like just overwriting other creators' work.
Yeah.
Just ramrod through your own ideas. And George Lucas, to be fair, does that as well. He puts like the EU canon at a lower level than his own stuff, and if he sees fit, he will happily.
He doesn't care.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
Yeah, the EU is just like a thing for him to make money.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. But I do think those things should be handled with a little more respect for those creators and those fans, right? Like, to me, I really liked a lot of the Republic series and the grittiness of the Clone Wars and its portrayal. Some of that does come through in the Clone Wars TV series, but it does take quite a different direction stylistically and, you know, creatively with the clone troopers and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, there is something about Ahsoka which feels like she's like Dave Filoni's child.
Yeah.
And he really cares about his kid. Yeah. And, you know, like he makes her out to be like such an important character, but then like we just mentioned, she's not mentioned.
It almost comes off as fan fiction.
Yeah. I don't know. I get this feeling like Filoni just almost like went way too far with this character and like really wanted her to be like front and center, especially as like the Clone Wars went on, and it almost became less about Anakin and more about Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
She's the main character of the finale.
It just seems like Dave Filoni was just like not gonna let it go and was gonna push her character, and now he even got a live action show about her, right? And I agree with you, like she grew on audiences, and the writing of her character got a lot better, and like you get invested in her, but still at the same time in the larger arc of things, it's like, where does this person like actually really fit? It seems like an awkward fit altogether.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. That's exactly what I was saying about Filoni kind of ramrodding the character in, right, even when she doesn't quite work.
Yeah. And this is just like, again, we're some criticisms of Filoni here. He just seems to like care about his little pet projects.
Yeah, his subset of Star Wars characters.
More than like the universe itself, you know? So
no, 100% agree. Yeah. I guess that also brings me to another thing, is when Ahsoka was first introduced, right away, first question, well, what happened to her? She has to have died in the Clone Wars. She has to disappear because she doesn't appear in episode 3.
Yeah.
And that was like, I remember, you know, being in theaters when that movie came out, and I was like, that was my assumption, is they have to kill her off. And I always assumed that they would get you really invested in her character and her growth, and then have a major tragedy of her dying.
Yeah.
And that could have even worked as a catalyst to even push Anakin further to the dark side. Again, there's enough cool stuff that happens in Star Wars Rebels with her and some of the post Disney acquisition stuff that I think it's worth salvaging her, that she doesn't necessarily have to die. And I do think it's interesting that her actually getting expelled from the Jedi Order, expelled versus actually just choosing to walk away, really. There's a lot of cool, like, she's still leaving Anakin's life and is still a loss to Anakin. Yeah. And that's always the thing with Anakin's whole problem is with attachment to his mother, attachment to Padme, attachment to Ahsoka. Yeah. And I do think that is actually a really cool story beat and a good way to resolve it. That, okay, fine, if you like your character too much and you didn't want to kill her off, send her into like the depths of Coruscant and you never hear from her again. And then you always have that like what if, or it could be, right? Yeah. She could appear later, she could come back in some capacity.
Right, yeah, totally.
I just like the Siege of Mandalore too much, and I do like her duel with Darth Vader, and Darth Vader also confronting pieces of his past. I'm a sucker for any Darth Vader story arc that comes out like that. So when she and Vader fight in Rebels, like, to me, it's worth it to bring her back, even for those small glimpses.
Yeah.
But again, that's my personal headcanon.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, speaking more on that too, a lot of the imagery, some of my favorite imagery is from that duel. So Darth Vader, and it's funny because these ideas, even though they get ignored, like, again, we're talking about how Filoni has a problem with just like bulldozing previous authors' work. But one like very strong piece that now is almost kind of overused, but at the time was really cool and very powerful, was in that duel, Ahsoka cuts Darth Vader's helmet, and you see like his eye, you see Anakin's face through the Darth Vader helmet, and he speaks in like a dual voice of Vader's voice and Anakin's voice. That was lifted from an earlier comic book. I believe it was Jedi Purge book, where the exact, like the destruction of the mask almost follows the exact same pattern, where Darth Vader's killing a bunch of Jedi, and then like one of them strikes him and damages the mask. And again, it's that call back to like, if there's Anakin is underneath that suit.
Well, and that's employed a third time.
Right. And this is what I'm getting to. Now it's like overdone. Kind of a lesser version of that is Starkiller also does that. Galen Merrick, who is also Darth Vader's apprentice, when he's beating up Darth Vader, does cut off his helmet. It's not in the exact same way. It's more just the top of his helmet gets knocked off.
Okay.
In their duel. But it does happen. And then, once again, in the Kenobi series, Kenobi cuts Darth Vader's helmet, and you have the very same. So this is my point. Like, it was a very cool idea.
And
they just keep doing it again and again.
Every time there's a good idea, they just have to abuse it.
Right, exactly. And then it kind of erodes the impact and the power of it. And again, like to me, it's a little distasteful to like, again, the criticism of Filoni of like lifting it from another creator's work, whoever did the Purge comic.
Yeah.
Oh, I really like that, but we're going to pretend the rest of it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And then just bulldoze it and then steal the ideas we like and put it onto our characters, right? That all being said, I do think it's more impactful that a scene like that would happen with someone like Ahsoka, who has this deep personal connection to Anakin Skywalker, versus some random Jedi.
Yeah.
Like the arc text is there of like Darth Vader is killing Jedi, that's Anakin killing his past life. Sure, but it's even more personal when it's Anakin's apprentice.
Yeah.
And they have that kind of exchange where like he talks to Ahsoka in that Anakin Vader voice.
Mm-hmm.
So that is just something I did want to highlight specifically. Yeah. Ahsoka's story was always going to be somewhat of a tragedy. Again, like I said, she did have to be removed from the series only for no other reason than the fact that she doesn't appear later on.
I think there's also kind of an issue. It's just the nature of like TV shows and how they're, especially like half-hour, more kids shows like the Clone Wars series, and you're doing like, what is there, 7 seasons of that show altogether with like 20 episodes a season. There's like way too many events happen in this one person in this like really short amount of time.
Yeah, absolutely.
That gets like there's no possible way that amount of things could have happened to you in that short of a period of time, and you would be like at it for all these huge important pivotal events in the galaxy. And again, never be mentioned.
It's almost like Forrest Gump at the end when he's like inserted into all these historical events.
Yeah, exactly.
But in that case, it's done like humorously, right? But this is like
ironic,
literally built around the whole story.
And that's just like, but that's more just a weakness of the medium itself.
Yeah,
that
this isn't strictly a...
it would have been better to write her story like a little slower over a bit of a longer period of time, and but like even going through the scripted portions, like, and this event happened, and that's we run into that a lot with like these character profile episodes, where you just have like all these like
events and factoids,
that sort of happen to them,
and some of them are even completely like sidetracks and completely like unnecessary to the major arc of the character. It's just like a fun romp they had with a friend, and it's like some of that also comes from having too many cooks in the kitchen, right? Like everyone wants to use that character. We talked about that briefly with the Boba Fett episode, where now he's a main character, everyone wants to include him, so now he's all over the map all the time, and it does diminish things like mystery. It diminishes things like, the character's overall arc keeps getting pulled away from when you're doing all these like side missions, right? Works great for RPGs, not so much for storytelling.
I agree. There's almost too many stories of her, and too many like high stakes stuff too, like kidnappings and near death experiences, and
also when those experiences happen multiple times, like kidnapped again and kidnapped again, and you can only kidnap so many times. Well, what are your kind of final thoughts on her as a character? Do you like her? Do you hate her? Did you like her and then hate her? Do you hate her and now like her?
No, I feel similarly to you. Like, she grows on you. I don't hate the character. I do kind of wish different things were done with the character, or even if the premise was changed a little bit in the clone, like maybe she was just strictly Plo Koon's apprentice or something like that. Like,
okay, but what do you think? Like, I think she's a great foil for Anakin in the sense of like she reflects a lot of Anakin, but she also reflects some of the more nobility of the Jedi. If Anakin were a little more noble, and then also the Clone Wars series does a lot to rehabilitate Anakin's character to being more of that heroic figure, and making him a teacher. And so one of the awkward transitions between episode 2 and episode 3 is that Anakin is Obi-Wan's apprentice in episode 2, and then they're supposed to have like a more brotherly relationship. They're more pictured as equals in episode like peers, 3. Peers, exactly. Whereas with Anakin, having an apprentice kind of puts him on that level with Obi-Wan. And then even further to that, having like this struggle with attachment in Anakin and Ahsoka being his apprentice, I think is great. I think is a good character insight or character study of Anakin as much as it is Ahsoka. Again, speaking more to that earlier arc of Ahsoka and Anakin.
I don't know. I see what you, and she was more written for Anakin's character, like
for his benefit.
A supplement to Anakin's character. And I get that, but like,
and that might be why she struggles whenever it becomes more focused on her. Like having a whole series written just about her, right? Perhaps. So, final question then: is there room, do you think, to bring? Let's suppose everything happens. Let's pretend the Disney stuff is still out of canon or out of Legends. Would there be room, let's say, if they were still producing Legends content, to bring Ahsoka back?
Well,
under the Legends context.
I think obviously because they didn't make her exit from the scene like a final thing, like she didn't die. So I think there's obviously they were.
You think the plan was always to bring her back?
I think probably, to some extent, like just her living in exile, and even her going into exile almost reminds me of KOTOR 2 a little bit, where you play the exile. That's like the main character. And you're like, you are also betrayed by the Jedi Council and blah, blah, blah. So
almost like the idea came from someone, maybe.
Almost. Which is also a really cool story arc, except in that case, in KOTOR 2, the exile is cut off from the Force by the Jedi Council, so it becomes like this like deep wound of this person. Whereas Ahsoka, that wasn't the case, but
the deep wound is her relationships.
I like obviously she could come back. It does make sense if she were to come back to do like what
She does.
What she does is like help Luke with like a new Jedi Order, right? Like that would make.
But then that
sense.
becomes a question, because if Legends is already written, we know Luke will bring back the Order. We know he has his own pupils, and again, she doesn't come back. She doesn't appear.
You're right about that.
So she might have had to have died, or gone off on some solo mission.
Yeah.
You know, she could be there for the very founding, like in the background kind of thing, and like maybe Luke does have a private sit down with her that's never mentioned in other contexts.
Yeah.
As kind of this like.
Yeah, you could make it like a very brief interaction he has with her, like, you know, maybe he seeks her out and tries to
get her to teach,
recruit her, but she refuses or something, right?
Yeah. Or for whatever reason is, again, like maybe on a more important mission or something like that.
I think it would be like cool to have her in some way like become almost like an Indiana Jones character, like going to explore.
Oh, that would be kind of cool.
Like going to explore like the edges of the galaxy,
maybe ancient Jedi ruins.
Yeah, exactly. Even revisiting some of the Knights of the Old Republic era stories, like going to find some of those places and
artifacts.
Where events happened, right?
That'd be really cool, actually, if she's collecting Sith artifacts or like keeping them safe. Or
hear me out, Ahsoka like seeks out the whereabouts of Revan or something like that.
Jordan,
and wants to find like the secrets of Revan. You know, like that would be kind of and then she wouldn't really have to interact with like what's going on more in the core of the galaxy, right? Like
it's an excuse, and that's kind of what you're forced to do. Is you're trying to write her out of the main story while still writing stories for her is what you're forced to do ultimately. Not to say that you couldn't, or you can come up with some cool concepts to play off of. I think it would have been really powerful too if she just dies in the Clone Wars. Think how much, and I feel like so many people struggle with killing their main characters, and it gets to the point where it bothers me a little bit. I'm like, just kill them. We know you like them too much to let them go, but as an audience or for the sake of the story, you just need to. And think how devastating that could have been for Anakin, and even for the audience, right? You grow to love these characters. It's the same kind of problem with Rex, where you become overinvested, or the creator becomes overinvested, and you're like, you didn't want him to become another clone trooper that betrays a Jedi. It's like that would have been more impactful.
Totally,
if you had rolled with it, even if it sucks or if it's hard for you to write. Kill your main characters once in a while.
Well, I wonder, like, because all the rumors are that Mandalorian is ending sometime soon, possibly with this movie that's coming out, Mandalorian Grogu. I wonder if Filoni has the guts to kill Din Djarin. Like,
we'll see.
Or is he gonna make it so that he can like leave the door open so that he can
bring
make
him
a
back.
return? Which I think, it's like you have to, man. If you don't make,
isn't that the lesson that Anakin's supposed to learn, is to let things go?
Yeah, exactly.
Let go of your attachments. So ironic that the character that was written to bring that out in Anakin can't be let go by its own creators.
100%.
Poetic almost.
Like I think that when you don't, you have to have stakes in your story, or if you can always just like the person always survives, always lives, like there's just like, I don't know, there's no stakes in it,
No, absolutely, or if you keep coming back from grievous lightsaber wounds,
suddenly
people don't respect the lightsaber so much anymore.
Exactly, it's true. But anyways,
I think that's all I have to say about Ahsoka. I loved her. No, I hated her. I loved her. I became indifferent to her, but I do want to like her still. And there are elements, and I love Ashley Eckstein's portrayal of her and her like maturity. Like I like her relationship with Anakin. I like that she comes even to duel Darth Vader. I think is a very strong story beat that I would like to see and preserve. But ultimately, I think maybe it's sometimes also good to leave it as a mystery, and she disappears from the pages of history, and you can headcanon whatever you want and from there.
Indeed. So let us know your thoughts on Ahsoka. If anyone's like done any of the literature on Ahsoka, any of the stories, let us know. If there's any more insight you can offer.
All
right, on that note, I think we're out of here.
Maybe we'll explore some other Jedi ruins.
Indeed.
You don't like visiting this place, yet you want to write a whole story about exploring ancient Jedi ruins.
Yes, I do. This place is just overdone. I'm bored of it. Okay. See ya.